All right. Hi, everyone. Finally, time for the long-awaited Kuno update. For many of you, this is probably your first time hearing my voice, so hello. Let's start with my personal unit here. Just got this back from Blake, BA Bally's. Sent it in for some mod work. As you can see, we blackened the handles and anodized the blade gold. It turned out so beautiful. Could not have asked him to do a better job. So thanks, Blake, and hit him up for all of your mod work needs. All right. Let's get on to the exciting stuff. The new protos from MachineWise are here. These are actually slightly different. I would say that this one is something akin to a version 1.5. This is more like a version 2. The production Kunos will be very similar to this unit. So let's go over some of the changes. So one of the biggest ones is here. It's kind of hard to see on camera because it's a small change and the finishes are different, obviously. But the channel widening no longer goes all the way through to the back side of the handles. It went through all the way here. You can see this is wider than the channel is at the tang. And this is fine, but it's slightly more comfortable to have a little more material here to hold on to. And it still gives you a nice long speed channel for grip. And as you can see on the other side, still a nice amount of channel widening, so no tap, very much so guaranteed on these. All right, so let's go over one of the other big changes is that you might be able to see it actually, but these new Kunos are actually wider at the pivots than the original. This is mostly to fit just my personal preferences. As a flipper, I like having more width at the pivots, kind of a wider handle to hold on to. The original Kuno is still good, of course, and if you like skinnier handles, you might like this one more actually, but I like having a little more width at the pivots to kind of hold on to. So I widened the width of the handles at the pivots. The width at the ends is still the same across all three. So it's like just kind of the amount of tapering that differs. And between this one and this one, the version 2 is actually ever so slightly wider at the pivot. So I increased the widening just a little bit there, and I like that very much personally. These changes also kind of shifted the weight a little closer to the center of the handles as opposed to the original Kunos, which have the weight very much kind of in the last third. So the Kunos still have a very unique flipping experience, obviously, because the handles are 6 inches long, which is really, really long. So even if the weight's kind of more in the center, it's much further down from the pivots than it would be on a normal length Bally. So I still, really like the flipping experience, obviously, but I think having the weight a little closer to the center kind of just helps with controllability and just the general flipping, at least for my preferences. One other difference that you might notice, these are actually tumble finished. The original Kunos were just machine finished straight off the machine. These are tumbled. It's just a little easier to achieve consistent finish that way, and getting a nice finish off the machine, it takes a lot of machine time, it's very expensive, etc. Also, with some of these changes, like widening the handles a little bit and reducing this channel widening, that adds material back. So I had to remove material in some other places to kind of compensate for the weight. All three of these essentially have the same weight and balance. They're just different weight distributions within the handles. These two are already very similar, though, in that regard. Let's see. In the V2, like I said, the handles are ever so slightly wider here. I closed up the kind of pivot counter bores so they fit the screws more exactly. I originally had these kind of wider just in case. Now that I know the dimensions of the screws that I want to use, I was able to just kind of make it a snug fit there. So that looks a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner. Otherwise, the other change here is that I added an extra fillet or rounding on the inner edges here to make this kind of look more like a channel Bally speed channel. This change I'm probably going to revert for production, and it's going to look more like this. Comfort wise, it doesn't really add anything. It's just there for aesthetics. It does look nice, but it kind of adds a significant amount of machine time, and it's just harder to manufacture this way. So yeah, we're going to go back to this. Otherwise, pretty much everything is going to be the same for the production ones as this. Also, I did forget to add that despite the fact that these are tumbled, they are tumbled assembled. And so what that means is that you get this nice, even, very tumbled looking finish on the faces, but the undersides are pretty much untouched from how the machine left them. And Dalen, being the good machinist that he is, was able to replicate that jeweled kind of underside. So you can see that here. It looks very nice. It's very eye-catching. And I'm really glad that we were able to retain that, because that was something I really liked about the original Kunos. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of updates and changes to the Kunos. Obviously, the V1s are still awesome, and I'm sure some people would prefer them. I just made some changes based on a combination of community feedback and my own kind of preferences and my own feedback after flipping the Kuno for so long. So yeah, I'm gonna probably spend about a week with these just to kind of confirm my thoughts and potentially make any additional refinements to the design. I don't expect any more major changes after this, of course. And after that period, should be able to open up pre-orders very shortly, and I'll have more prototypes to lotto off. This kind of special V1.5 is definitely going to get lottoed off at some point. And then I still have 2 Kunos out on pass around that are V1s that will get lottoed off. So yeah, I also have a lot of other stuff in the works that I don't want to talk about yet until I have actual prototypes in hand, but it should be kind of soon here. So I'm really excited to show you guys everything I've been working on. This is just the beginning, and I can't wait to see people get their hands on, the Kuno. So thank you guys all for watching. Peace.